And welcome to another edition of Chocobo Chasers. As always, I am your host G, and I am joined by my co-hosts and Chocobros, Eric and Dash. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Fantastic.
We're the real
Awesome.
Chocobros.
We are.
Yeah,
Ben
Ben Star, you
Star.
don't know shit.
If you want to come on and talk about it, though, we won't be upset.
Yeah. I'll take back that original statement when you come on the podcast.
Gotta watch yourself.
It's crazy to think that we are already at the end of August. Kids are going back to school. It's kind of a busy time in gaming as far as like the release schedule goes. Obviously, we had Black Myth Wukong go ahead and launch last week. We've got Star Wars Outlaws launching this week. We've got Astrobot next week. Harry Potter Quidditch Champions is launching next week. Busy time. We're going to be talking about a few of these games actually today. So before we go ahead and do that, we're going to kick the game off with a What Are You Playing? I'll actually go ahead and get us started off this week. I'll tell you what, I actually gamed a little bit less this week than I typically have. Finished Onimusha, which I forgot how short the game is. I actually finished it. I got the trophy for finishing in under 3 hours. But damn, what a great game. I really can't say enough good things about it. It's a game that needs to be remade. And honestly, they should remake Onimusha 1, 2, and 3 just in a single package, just from a content perspective, because this is a really short game. Unless they were going to do like a, not $70 game. But that gives you the opportunity to do that. So definitely something I'd recommend Capcom doing. In addition, played a little bit more college football. I'm not going to touch on that too much. Still dominating. Guy just won back-to-back Heismans. We're kicking ass. And then third, played a bit more of Liza P. Again, if you have not played this game, it's probably the closest thing to Bloodborne that I've ever played, just from a vibes perspective. The character design is very, very cool. You are unfamiliar with this game. It's a steampunk horror kind of version of Pinocchio. So Geppetto, Pinocchio, Jiminy is in the game. Like, it's just very, very cool. Would absolutely recommend. There's a lot of plays on some of the characters that are in the Pinocchio story as well, and they kind of come through as bosses. You fight puppets, some of whom are absolutely terrifying. Absolutely a game I'd recommend, though. And that's I played a little bit of Tomb Raider Underworld this week as well. I'm a big fan of that era of Tomb Raider. Lara Croft is undefeated. She's one of the GOATs. And just an amazing game. If you've never played Legend and Underworld, very underrated. Definitely something I would love also to see get remastered. So that's it for me. Dash, what are you playing this week?
Oh, a little bit of college football too. Not too many games, but got my UCF up to, I think, power ranking number 3 or whatever in the top 25.
Let's
I
go.
found that I'm going up against a top 25 opponent, it's easier than when it's going against these 4 and 6 teams and stuff. I don't know what's going on. Like, those teams will like run all these big plays on me all the time, but then I can just keep constant 3 and outs against
some of the higher end competition.
Yeah, like ranked 10 team or something. Like, I don't know. It's like maybe I just play up to my opponent's level at those points, and then for the lower teams I just don't. But
you're just like the Saints then.
Tell me about it. Yeah, who that nation, baby?
12 wins this season. Fucking book it.
Playoff bound. We are going to the playoffs. I don't care what anyone has to say.
Positivity.
Optimism is here to stay.
I bet on them to win the division. So
yep.
It's free real estate.
Yep. So I'm right at the conference championship for the Big 12, I think it is. Is that what UCF is in? I think it is Big 12.
I believe so, yeah.
Going against Kansas State, so I haven't played that game yet, but that's what my next step will be. I'm pretty sure my running back's going to win the Heisman, too.
Let's go.
Probably has like twice the yards of anyone else in the fucking league. Let's see. More blitzball, because I have to unlock everything for Waka, and that takes a lot of blitzball games because you have to do a league, then you have to do a tournament, then you have to do a league, and then a tournament. And now I have to play a whole nother league.
Are you cheesing it though? Are you resetting if you have to?
Well, by the time I finish my tournament to get the Auroch reels, my league had already set to its current rewards, so I have to play those 10 games. Then I'll try to cheese it. So I'll save and then try to reset the rewards if I don't get the Jupiter sigil. But so that I have actually, besides Blitzball, I haven't actually been playing Final Fantasy X in the traditional sense. But I've been having fun with it. Yeah, posting my little clips and jokes about Blitzball because, like, here I am, I'm Titus, and I just took over the Besaid Aurochs, and I kicked everyone off the team. And I'm finding them on other teams now. It has to be the funniest thing ever. This dude comes out of nowhere and kicks you off your own team.
This 1,000-year-old cretin.
The primary thing that I am happy to have now is that we have Risk of Rain 2's DLC just came out. Oh wait, actually, before I get into that, Pokemon Yellow, I did the 100% the Pokédex over the weekend.
Go.
So the last hurdle to get through was getting a Dratini and just leveling up to 55, which took a while, but just going into the Cerulean Cave and just using that to grind levels, it goes by pretty quickly. So, Pokemon Master, we're going to probably do it with another one at some point, but not anytime soon, I don't think. Now, on to the big one. Risk of Rain 2. So, the DLC that I've been waiting for almost a year to finally come out is finally actually released today. So, I played it for maybe an hour or two just to get a feel for what's going on with it. And, it's like, it adds a whole bunch of new zones, new items. So, I love my roguelikes because Risk of Rain 2 gets crazy with the number of items, and each item is cosmetic on you. So, as you're picking them up, your character is just getting like all this stuff all over them. So, late game, you'll just be this mess of items all covering you.
Yeah.
But, I actually experienced the new boss. I figured out how to get there. It's really fun learning because they don't tell you how to get to these zones or what to do, so you just kind of like figure it out on your own. So I unlocked the second of the 3 new survivors. You unlock one automatically by having the DLC. The second one, I found the location where the puzzle is for it, solved it, and unlocked him. The third one, I think you actually have to beat the boss, and that boss kicked my ass. So this is going to be a experience to try and learn the new boss and finally beat it and experience it. And it adds like a whole nother set of cosmetics that you can unlock for each class before then. So this is probably going to be one I'm going to dump another 100 hours in or something, because I already have 400 hours in Risk of Rain 2. Anybody who knows me knows that Risk of Rain 2 is probably like one of my favorite games ever. So I was waiting for this, and I'm going to definitely get my money's worth out of this, even though it's like $50 DLC. So,
Hell yeah.
And that's it for me.
Damn, it's expensive for DLCs.
I mean, if you're getting 100 hours, though.
Yeah, I know for sure. How much is the base game?
Like, let me just see what it is right now.
I'm on Steam.
It's $25 normally.
It's $8.24 on Steam.
I was say it's on sale.
That's quite the steal.
Yep.
So you get the whole package for
$30.
$30.
You get the base game and the 2 DLCs.
Yep. That's solid.
It just took it's such a weird gap because Risk of Rain came out in 2020. The first DLC came out in 2022. And then now this one came out 2024. It's funny because Risk of Rain 2, when it launched, was done by Hopo Games, and they had Gearbox as the publisher. But then for this new DLC is completely developed by Gearbox. Gearbox has completely taken control of the Risk of Rain franchise. We'll see how that goes.
For better or worse, we'll find out.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Eric, what about you, man? What you been playing this week?
So I played a little bit of college football last week. It is still, even though I haven't played them in a few weeks, it is still fuck Oregon in this house. And it will forever be fuck Oregon in this house. So, fuck Oregon. Just wanted to mention that. Other than that, I played a little bit of Valorant with the boys on Friday night. But, as I said last week, Dragons have come to Crusader Kings 3 Game of Thrones mod. I got to show the boys here a little
Really
bit
cool.
before they popped in. And it's pretty awesome. They added the Rogue Prince bookmark. And for those of you who don't know who the Rogue Prince is, that is Daemon Targaryen. It starts out during the Battle of the Stepstones with Corlys Velaryon and Daemon Targaryen take it upon themselves to fight the Triarchy. And in this playthrough, I created a bastard son of Viserys I, after Daemon choked the dub away in the Stepstones and lost the war, I went to war with him and won. And Viserys immediately legitimized me. I got to have my own personal coat of arms, and that personal coat of arms is a white dragon with green scales on a night black sky. For my character's dragon, Steelwing.
That's dope.
So, he legitimized me, made me heir to Dragonstone, which is pretty unprecedented because if you're not familiar with the Game of Thrones lore, all the kings live in King's Landing, obviously, and all their heirs go to Dragonstone. It's why after Robert's rebellion and Stannis was pissed about it, Stannis was given Dragonstone by Robert because he was Robert's heir to the throne before all the kids came around. And that's why he kept Dragonstone for all those years. Even though he was pissed that Renly got Storm's End, that's usually how it would go. Stannis being a little bitch. Even though Stannis...
For multiple reasons.
Even though he is one of my favorite characters. But no, I've tried to pop off the Dance with Dragons just so I could claim more, I guess, glory and power for myself. But the Greens did not challenge Rhaenyra's claim to the throne, despite me finding out that, shocker, Rhaenyra's kids aren't her kid. Oh, I mean, they aren't Laenor's kids. And exposing that to court, nobody seemed to care. Jacaerys is still the heir. Rhaenyra is still living it up, banging everybody. Daemon's now her paramour. All these kids, none of them are Laenor's. Nobody cares. She's getting away with everything. I'm not even team black or green. But everybody who's team green, you'd be in shambles right now, I can tell you that.
So they still put that mechanic in there then, where he's gay or just doesn't have kids with Rhaenyra.
So they have a event based off it's a sub mod called a GOT plus. It's a pretty good sub mod for it, and you can have canon children. And so the canon in the story is, even though they're supposed to be Valyrians, they're pretty much strong boys and Targaryens. And so that's what they've gone with, and I think it's a pretty cool mechanic because you actually get, because if you play regular sometimes sandbox, you don't always get canon children. And even if you do get them, sometimes they might be the opposite gender. I've seen where Ned has a daughter first, and her name's Roberta or some shit. It's all right, okay, I guess it's just the RNG gods on that. But the canon children part of GOT Plus makes sure that they're all lore accurate, which adds a lot of flexibility to it. Because, I mean, so Loras in the books joins the Kingsguard. Because there's 2 older Tyrell children. So you can just marry one of your kids off. If you have a daughter, marry her off to Loras, and you have an alliance with Highgarden. If he's young enough. It's really good. The Robert's Rebellion arc is still good. They now added... So there's always a mechanic for the Aegon V during the last Blackfire Rebellion with Malus the Monstrous, where Malus the Monstrous actually sacrifices one of his kids to have them come back as a dragon. And now you can actually have the kid be reborn as a dragon in this bookmark, which is pretty fucking awesome. Just burning kids alive. Like Stannis, shout out. But you get a dragon out of it. I'm sure Stannis would have burned a lot of kids for dragons.
He probably would have.
Yeah, I mean, he was just burning kids for pussy at that point. I mean, shout out to Melisandre, fine as hell. But, so that's pretty much what I did. I played a couple different bookmarks. I did the Rogue Prince bookmark twice. I didn't get the first time I played it, my character just died. He was killed by Cannibal. That's a dragon, in case y'all didn't know. There's a dragon named Cannibal. He's alive during the dance. He doesn't really do much. The only thing he ever does is kill other dragons, because that's all he feeds on. But that's pretty much it. It's a fun mod. As I said before, it might be one of the best mods ever made. They can attest to it. The amount of detail that went into this mod is incredible. Yeah. All the locations are accurate to how they look in the show, or if they have good depictions in the book. You can customize your throne room with whatever you want. I have Aegon's painted table that's in Dragonstone in the books and in the show in my throne room in Dragonstone. It's awesome.
Hell yeah. Fun fact. Did you know that the lady who plays Melisandre is married to Guy Pearce?
Yes. Carice Von Houten or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I found that out early on. I mean, hey, Guy Pearce is a handsome dude and he's a talented actor.
True.
So don't blame her.
Shout out to Prometheus King right there. Cool. Well, so that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get to some news regarding some of our newer games that have been coming out and some other stuff as well. So let's start off with the monkey, Black Myth Wukong. We talked about this game a bit last week. The previews have been pretty strong. A lot of people praising combat. Well, a lot of people are enjoying this game. Black Myth Wukong has already surpassed 10 million in sales in its first week. To put this in perspective, this is better than Hogwarts Legacy, which was the #1 selling game for like 18 months or something. It was absolutely just ridiculously high end, and so this game is selling better. I imagine it's probably going to taper off. Like, we're not going to see as long of a tail as we saw on Hogwarts Legacy. But even still, this game, for being a brand new IP, it's a very established story. This is probably the most famous Chinese novel of all time. And it's obviously the inspiration for Goku and Dragon Ball Z as well. So that's going to be a huge selling point for a lot of people. For any new IP to ever hit this number, I mean, and we said the same thing when Hogwarts Legacy dropped. Like, that is just absolutely astounding. So it's probably going to be, end up being a Game of the Year contender. It's a game I've seen a lot of people play for a long time. Yeah, it's going to have
to be considered at least.
Yeah,
I don't think it should win, but it should at least be considered.
No, but we'll have more conversations around that in a few months when we start getting a little bit closer. So congrats to the team over who's making Black Myth, because again, absolutely astounding. Definitely love to see that, especially with a new IP.
That's the power of China, man. If you make a decent game about China, you will, like, Three Kingdoms Total War sold a shit ton of copies.
Well, and it's non-censored.
It's a hard market
too.
to break into too. So
yeah,
like, their censorship laws prohibit a lot of games from even entering their market. So that's a large market you can't even get with American-made games.
Same thing with movies. That's why it's hard to. I don't know if y'all remember the Warcraft movie. The reason it did like what it did financially is because China loved it.
They absolutely loved it. Yeah,
I loved it too. I thought it was a great movie. I really wish we would have gotten the second one.
Shout out Travis Fimmel.
And like, you look at the CGI for it. That's like a 2016 movie.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a post on social media this week that was like, showed Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean, and it was like, CGI has just gone downhill basically from that point on. And I was like, you know what? You might be right with that one. You might be cooking a little bit, because
Davy Jones, like, it still holds up. Like,
it's so good.
It looks so fucking good.
And Bill Nye is just amazing. So
it's just so hard with the technology to keep up with that type of, like, it is. It's incredible. But Warcraft had the benefit of having Blizzard in that background, because, their cinematics always go hard.
Yeah.
And they made a whole movie out of it. So, yeah, it was just absolutely insane. But you guys, that's some great points. Just taking advantage of that market and knowing your audience.
Yep.
I mean, again, we're talking about basically the most famous story in this region. It's a hell of a way to capitalize on it. So, on the opposite end of this spectrum, Concord, which is a game that Dash and I have had a chance to play, and frankly, we
got called
enjoyed
shills because of it.
Yeah, so someone commented on one of our videos saying that we're,
paid to
choking
like it
on. Yeah, if PlayStation wants to pay us, our DMs are open. So
yeah, my opinions are for sale. I don't care what anyone says.
I'll be open about it. I'll be like, yeah, they gave me money to like this game, but But no, I legitimately did like it, and
Yeah,
anybody who has played it shares
I
the
feel
same
like kind of
sentiment.
had a pretty positive sentiment all around. There, that's not to say there wasn't critiques. The price was absolutely one that we talked about in this show, and we didn't feel like it was appropriate for kind of the content you were getting to begin with. And this is obviously reflective in what ended up happening upon its launch. The Steam numbers were
I mean,
really bad. We're talking less than Lord of the Rings Gollum bad, which
I
Yeah,
is
think
it was like 600 or 700 people
yeah,
played it, and it's got
so
mostly positive reviews. It's 400 reviews.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think even if this game was free, it would still have the same issues because I don't think it was really a price point. Because when you had the open beta that was free to play, it had the same population issues that people just weren't coming into. I don't
yeah.
think it's a market thing either because we have Marvel Rivals coming right around the corner, and that's going to break into this market with no issue, it looks like.
That's a lot different because you have the
Yeah.
power of Marvel characters that people know
Right.
and love.
You have
Like,
that, and that's going to bring me to Concord's issue, which is I think it's the characters.
Yeah.
There's no characters that really stand out too much to me. Like, some are fun to play with, but like, do I
But I don't
feel?
think of Concord and think of a single character.
Yeah, like it doesn't have a face of the franchise kind of thing. Like you had you when Blizzard did their whole Overwatch reveal, you had Tracer who became pretty much the poster child of
Right.
Overwatch. But I can't think of a character that would be the poster child of Concord besides, I guess, Starchild. But like some of these characters just like their designs are kind of weird, ugly kind of thing. Like just like I don't want to play as these characters or care about them because they kind of their aesthetic is just not vibing with me, and I think they're not vibing with a lot of other people.
Yeah. And it's just a shame, like it's for a first launch from a new PlayStation studio. It probably doesn't bode well long term. I do think that launching as a free to play game would have helped. And I do think that a more expanded beta and alpha period with, this game probably could have used a bit more time for them to capitalize on some of that feedback. But I think that they were just so dead set on launching in that window. And then you're launching around a lot of really popular games too.
I gotta ask, what Sony exec saw Concord and said, "Yeah, this is cooking, right?" But then they looked at the Last of Us factions and said, "No, we can't do this."
To be fair, Bungie is the one who said Last of Us Factions was not doing this. So yeah, I guess that same input wasn't here. But I will say that Concord DualSense absolutely fucks. That thing is sick.
It's not sold out, I'm pretty sure. So.
It is not. But the Astrobot controller did see that it did actually get put back if you order it from Ant Online. So if anybody missed out on that, there's another opportunity there. So yeah, just really, really poor figures from Concord. We'll have to see if there is any kind of rebound, but it does not look great so far.
I love a comeback story for games. We had it for Cyberpunk. We had it for No Man's Sky. Let's have one for Concord, hopefully, in the future.
Hell yeah. So Concord launched. We also have another huge game launching in Star Wars Outlaws. And the reviews for the game, I'd say, have been mostly positive. I think it's scored at like a 77 on Metacritic. So, again, not an amazing game, but it's not a bad game by any means. But one thing, and Dash, you talked about this before the show, it's an Ubisoft game, which means it's going to launch buggy. And unfortunately, Star Wars Outlaws is no stranger to this. They're launching in a pretty... I mean, if you've seen anybody who had hands-on, footage with the game or was able to preview it before the launch, you can see that it's got a lot of bugs. Some of which are really unfortunate because it kind of ruins that immersion, especially in a world that most of the reviews have said like this world is awesome, and that it is very Star Wars-esque. Like it does a great job of capturing the essence that makes so much Star Wars content great. Not all, because we do get stuff like Rise of Skywalker, But it's unfortunate that one, I guess there's this just mass like push to get these games out as quickly as possible without the polish. But again, we're talking about a studio that just repeatedly does this. And I was telling Dash before the show, I don't know the last time I pre-ordered an Ubisoft game day one, because, this is kind of what you come to expect. And Ubisoft games tend to drop in price pretty damn fast too. So,
and they'll always have the gold edition that has all that DLC and expansion stuff included. So you might as well just wait.
Yeah, and it'll launch with and it'll launch at $70 in like 3 months. So
wait for the full game.
Basically. But back to something a little more positive. This week we also have Visions of Mana launching. A little bit lesser known. Obviously the Mana series is a really, really popular JRPG series from Square Enix. We're talking about Dawn of Mana, which came out in 2026. This one has actually been being worked on since 2024 or 2020, now being launched in 2024. So 4-year dev cycle, not too bad. Reviews have been pretty positive so far. It's definitely something I will potentially check out because, Square and JRPGs is kind of just a match made in heaven, whether it be Dragon Quest, whether it be, the Mana series, Chrono Trigger. We're talking Final Fantasy, obviously, is the staple here, but they're pretty much constantly cooking. One thing, and if you follow me on Twitter, you've seen me tweet about this. I am a Legacy of Kain truther. I fucking love these games. And we saw a little bit of imagery at San Diego Comic-Con for Soul Reaver 1 and 2. Got me very, very excited. And so Crystal Dynamics, who is the studio who makes these games and owns those IPs, announced a prequel comic, which is actually pretty cool. If you have checked it out, they announced it in kind of a strange way. They said, hey, we're going to do a Kickstarter. And I think it's just to gauge, like, hey, this is a series that has not launched a game in over 20 years. We want to see if people still like it. So, and they had stuff ranging from just get a digital version of the comic to getting a full, like, bust of Kain or Raziel. And they looked awesome. Or you could get the Soul Reaver sword. Some of these packages cost like $2,500. Those packages sold out instantly. The idea of this Kickstarter was to get $25,000.
It's got $1 million.
It's got $1 million fucking dollars. Safe to say we're probably going to get a new Legacy of Kain game at this point. I'm sure they probably did not realize how beloved this series is. It's almost up there in like Bloodborne territory. Like everybody's wondering why they haven't remade this game. And just the mythology, the story, the characters, it was all memorable. Everything Concord is not. This is just a game that if you've played it, it's fucking awesome. You've got Blood Omen 1 and 2, Soul Reaver 1 and 2. This is going to be, I think this is going to be a template that a lot of studios are going to use going forward to try and gauge, the seriousness of their fans in, a remake, remaster, or sequel to, specific series. So
Isn't that how like Divinity did it with like public crowdfunding, right? I
am not sure. I'm not super familiar with
I want to say Divinity did that, or one of the, maybe it was either that or the Path of Righteousness or the Kingmaker game.
Kingmaker?
Pathfinder, yeah, I think
Pathfinder.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I mean, we really could see a lot of studios utilize this going forward. So Capcom, Onimusha, Dino Crisis, put this up. Watch what fucking happens. I will be there day one. I will buy the most expensive thing. I don't fucking care. I need it. So we are we're going to do a little bit of a shorter episode here tonight. We're going to talk about, for the last section of the show, we're going to be talking Nintendo Direct, which actually happened today. And honestly, it was kind of a quiet Direct. Nothing really too crazy that got announced today. A lot of it was updates on titles that we've already known are coming out, but we're just getting additional information. So Civ 7, Neva, which is a stylish indie game, which they announced at one of their directs previously. Got a bit more information on the Dragon Quest 3 2D HD remake. That's a fucking mouthful. Got some additional information on the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, which is launching November 11th. Let's fucking go. Honestly, pretty quiet. We are starting to get a little bit more information now that there is potentially a PlayStation State of Play going to be happening in September. It's been rumored for a while. Jeff Grubb, if you don't follow him, has been talking about it quite a bit. So apparently the PlayStation 5 Pro was kind of the biggest open secret at Gamescom. I would expect this probably gets announced during that State of Play, or they'll announce a showcase, do that, and then, hey, here are the games that are launching. Dash, I know you mentioned you think that they haven't announced any of these big first-party games because they're waiting to do that first and then say, oh yeah, these are going to launch with that. We'll have to wait and see.
That's at least what the rumor said. They said, game developers are delaying their releases of certain games because they'd rather have it developed for the PS5 Pro instead of having to apply the patch later.
Yeah. Well, and you've got a lot of studios which are working on stuff. Obviously, Naughty Dog, The Last of Us Factions was not the only game they're working on. The rumor is they're working on Last of Us Part 3 and a new IP, which is very cool. Sony Bend is working on a new game, the developer of Days Gone. You've got Santa Monica, who is Cory Barlog, is working on a new IP, rumored to be a sci-fi IP. And then, what sounds like a potential God of War sequel, whether that's surrounding Atreus or surrounding Kratos. We'll obviously have to wait and see. Eric's Bay Ghost 2. It's incoming. It's really just a matter of when. I'm really hoping that they pull a Fallout 4, announce it, and then be like, oh yeah, by the way, this is coming out in 4 months. Kind of a thing where there's just a really short, or it might have been 6 months, but even still, just a very short amount of time before release. It's something, especially because, as of right now, 2025, not a ton. I mean, GTA 6 is obviously the big headlining thing, and it's easily going to be the best-selling game next year. But aside from that, I mean, we really don't know anything too huge or groundbreaking. We knew
Death Stranding 2, I think, is probably going to be next year.
Yes. We knew Final Fantasy Rebirth was going to be coming out for quite a while. At least a year before it actually ended up launching. We haven't had any kind of hype like that for anything else. We have gotten one trailer for GTA 6, and the only reason they released it is because somebody leaked it beforehand. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but, PS5 Pro is imminent. Probably will not pick it up just because I don't necessarily feel like there's any need right now. PS5, my issue is that the PS5 is powerful enough to run every single game at 60 frames, and just the games aren't optimized that way. A lot of them are still 30. I don't get it.
They have Avowed is being 30 FPS on the Series X and S now.
That goes back to our conversation about Xbox and having to make all of their games playable on both the S and the X, and that's a whole nother can of worms. So, but no, I think that's a perfect place to go ahead and cap it off. You guys got anything else you wanted to dive into tonight?
Big one from the Nintendo Direct was the Suikoden 1 and 2 remaster. We finally got news on it after, I think, 2 years.
Holy shit.
That was the big one I was amazed to see.
Man, that is 2 years. Holy
I
fuck.
feel I like Sony's new strategy. I think this is what they're doing, is they're playing their cards close to their chest. They're not gonna reveal stuff years out anymore. I think it's gonna be, this is coming next year.
I mean, when did we get the reveal for Wolverine? Like
2 years ago?
2.5 years? Yeah, 2 years ago.
3-4 years, I feel like. It was a crazy amount of time ago.
I gotta look this up real quick. Let's see. Wolverine. PlayStation Showcase 2021.
Yeah, see.
That is 3 years ago. What the fuck? Like,
Elder Scrolls 6 was announced like what?
hey, but everyone said that was announced way too early.
Yeah, but that, like, there's the whole meme going around on Twitter where it's like somebody has like all these games on the Xbox roadmap and then like a couple games on the PlayStation roadmap, and it's like all the Xbox ones were like announced years ago too. So it's like you have Xbox strategy where they're still trying to deliver on games they promised for years.
Yeah.
And PlayStation just not giving us anything until it's ready.
Yeah. And to be fair, some of the games that Xbox, we thought were in development hell, like Perfect Dark, I mean, we just got information on it. It looked great.
I thought it got scrapped completely.
Yeah. So you never know. Hopefully we can start to get some of this information. Tokyo Game Show is going to be coming up next month, and a lot of people think that we're going to be getting the PlayStation 5 Pro reveal prior to that. So that's September 26th. So, which coincidentally also happens to be the date that I'll be representing us at FanX here in Salt Lake City. So if we have any fans who are listening local to Utah, come find us. We'd be happy to go ahead and say, hey, what's up? And we'll be touching base with some of our previous guests on the show as well while we're there. So should be a fun time. Awesome. Well, I think that's a great spot for us to go ahead and cap things off then. Want to thank everybody for checking us out. Be sure to like, share, subscribe wherever you go ahead and get your podcasts. We'll catch you guys next time.
Have a good one.
Hell yeah. Later.